Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. This is the next module in the workshop on social media and analytics, and today we're going to be talking about Facebook. Not just Facebook content, but also the algorithm of Facebook, which explains why people see the posts that they do and who they see them from. So that algorithm is incredibly important that our students understand what types of posts get seen more, who they get seen from, and why that's happening. So let's dive right into that Facebook algorithm. And one thing you'll hear from businesses a lot or brands a lot is complaining about Facebook. They love to complain about the algorithm, but there's no way to get around it. So let's just go ahead and dive right into the algorithm and what it means. And when we talk about the algorithm, we're talking about something called EdgeRank, which again explains the content that shows up in your newsfeed or in anyone's newsfeed. Here's a really basic look at one of the factors, and this isn't official. This is something that TechCrunch came up with, and don't feel bad if that makes no sense at all to you, because it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But let's stop for just a second and look at this with a critical eye. So, again, the question it's asking is, how does Facebook choose what to show in your newsfeed? So that visibility equals interest times post times creator times type times recency. And so let's take a look at each of those. Interest is the interest of the user and the creator. So if you commonly click like or share BuzzFeed's posts, you're more likely to see BuzzFeed content in your newsfeed. The type of post is also important. So we're going to be talking a lot about content types today, and so that will come into play. The creator is important, so the performance of past posts by the creator amongst other users. Does this creator typically create really viral or important content that people tend to like? That will show up. The type of post, again, that you prefer is important. And then the recency, is it new? Most of the Facebook algorithm lasts about a day to 3 days at the most. So if you've ever wondered why you're seeing old content in your feed, it's because of the algorithm. And again, this is really simplified. As you see at the bottom, Facebook's real algorithm looks at like 100,000 factors when it comes up with why it shows what it does in your feed. So this is what it looks like directly from Facebook. If you're looking for a definition of the algorithm, Facebook says how often you interact with a friend, page, or public figure who posted is important. The number of likes, shares, and comments a post receives from the world at large and from your group in particular, and how much you've interacted with this type of post. So do you like videos more than photos? Do you like links more than videos? Those all come into play. And then whether or not you or other people across Facebook are hiding or reporting a given post. So if people are reporting it as offensive or as spam, that gives Facebook a negative signal that then it reacts negatively within the algorithm in terms of spreading that content. So if you've paid attention to any of that, it might seem a little bit like the chicken and the egg argument, right? You see stuff in your Facebook feed that you tend to like, but then again, you only tend to like the stuff that you might see in your Facebook feed. So that is true, and there's no way around that. It's just the way Facebook's algorithm is set up. And here's the reason why, though. Facebook has an algorithm because if it didn't, the average user would have 1,500 posts waiting to be seen in your newsfeed. So for those of you who are on Twitter and maybe follow 100 people, and that's a common complaint we hear about Twitter, is that it's so overwhelming that when you get in, there's so much waiting for you. Now amplify that. Facebook's probably used 4 to 5 times more than Twitter. Amplify that 4 to 5 times more, and you see why Facebook feels the need to have an algorithm in place to get you content that it thinks you will enjoy. So yes, those 1,500 posts, that would be quite the headache trying to go through and see all of that content. So there's a reason behind it. Again, Facebook's main goal is to get you content that Facebook thinks you will enjoy. And so that's the whole purpose behind the algorithm. As far as brands are concerned, or businesses or celebrities, the typical statistics show that an average post that you make should be seen by about 3% of your audience. And you might be stopping at this point saying, whoa, that there's no way that's correct. But that actually is the number. So what you'll see is that actually a lot of brands would kill for that number when it comes to it. So here's an example of one of my clients' posts. You can see this is a picture post. So we made that post, and this got seen by 30 people. So if you see there at the bottom, the reach is 30 people. But there are more than 3,000 people who actually like that page. So in actuality, that number is less than 1% of our total reach that actually saw that post. So again, I would kill for 3%, because the actuality is that on a lot of posts, it's actually less than 1% that end up seeing this. So Facebook has a simple solution to all these problems for brands and businesses and celebrities. And as you imagine, that solution is to simply spend money. So again, here's another post from that same client. We went ahead and paid $5 to promote this post. And as you can see, the organic reach was 170, but the paid reach was 1,100. So when you add those 1,270 impressions, now it got seen by 41% of our total audience. So Facebook has made it possible to get seen by a majority of your audience, but you do have to pay in order to make that happen. So let's talk a little bit about the types of content on Facebook, and this is changing by the day. Literally just this week, or just in the past 2 weeks, we've been introduced to 2 new types of content that we'll talk about here at the end. The first type of content that you can post on Facebook has been around for a while, but it's really taken off in the past year and a half or so. And this is native video. And what I mean by native video is it is video that is uploaded directly to Facebook. This is not a YouTube link or linking to a video on your website. This is video that you are putting into the Facebook system, and it is then going out to people through the newsfeed. These videos often autoplay, and oftentimes they're silent. So we're going to see some examples of a silent native video here in just a little bit. But as of right now, the algorithm has really been favoring native video because people have been responding greatly to native video. 8 billion views every day of these native videos. 75% of those are on mobile. So again, Facebook, heavy mobile immersion when it comes to how people are using it. And yes, those 8 billion views, because the videos are autoplay, some of those are kind of trash views where the video started playing and then somebody moved on. But Facebook says the majority of those are legitimate video views. So here's an example of some journalism uses of Facebook video, native video. This is from Vox, and they just released this a couple days ago, and it's about Donald Trump's rise. So you can see it's built natively into Facebook. If I click play, that video is going to play right there on Vox's Facebook page or in my news feed. You can see here, native video does insane numbers in terms of not just reach, but also engagement. So this, as from Vox's page, was seen nearly 8 million times, had 8,000 comments and 37,000 likes. So when I talk about native video being a huge part of the algorithm, you can see it right there. One other thing you might have mentioned, not from a journalism point, but from more of a branding point, you probably noticed the rise of recipe videos in your news feed. No matter who you follow or what brands you follow, everyone's doing them these days, it seems. So here's one that just was posted yesterday. Look at that, 113 million views just since yesterday. That is insane. And also look at the engagement, almost 300,000 comments. More importantly, those 2.6 million shares. Facebook will tell you this is the reason why Facebook native video is so popular, because people are sharing these videos and telling their friends that this is something you should also watch. So in other words, we're getting our users for brands, we're getting users to be our best brand ambassadors in terms of sharing our content and getting other people's eyeballs on it. As I mentioned, BuzzFeed is obviously a huge player in this field. BuzzFeed might actually be the first brand you think of when it comes to producing native video for Facebook. Here's an example they did just a couple of weeks ago with former wrestler Stone Cold Steve Austin. BuzzFeed, of all the brands, has really embraced this idea of putting its content out wherever people are. So BuzzFeed doesn't care where you see its content as long as you see its content. So it's totally fine with you watching it on Facebook or on YouTube or on its website. It's not letting advertising dictate where you're going to see its content. And so here's an example of the types of numbers that BuzzFeed videos do. You can see this video was seen more than 28.5 million times in terms of pure traffic in order of watching those videos. And then another journalism example here, Al Jazeera Plus really has cornered the market in terms of making these silent videos. They produce a ton of videos a day, and oftentimes they're turning these around on very quick deadlines. So you can see this is just their latest batch of videos. We just had the Ecuador earthquake this morning, and they already have some native video content on it. So Al Jazeera Plus, again, kind of the king of native video when it comes to a journalism point of view in terms of doing these. And again, these are incredibly highly watched. They're highly shared. And a lot of it's because they produce them so quickly. So they turn these around in a very quick time span. The second type of content that we can post on Facebook is pictures, which you might think, okay, well, this is easy enough. But there are some subtle differences that brands and businesses and journalists do in order to get better pictures on Facebook to spur more engagement. So here's an example that I pulled from a restaurant in San Antonio, and you can see, decent picture. It's of their margaritas. The content itself isn't bad, but one thing I ask students here when I show this picture is, what could they do to make this picture better? And usually the first thing that they notice is the picture doesn't fill up the screen. So even on a mobile screen, you want the picture to really pop when it shows up. So what they could have done, one, you could have either taken this photo in horizontal landscape mode or cropped it in square mode in order to make the picture fill the Facebook screen better. Here's an example from the Salt Lick, which, go ahead and mark it down. This is the one time I'll compliment the Salt Lick. But one, that's just beautiful photography. So they've got that going for them right there. And then also they have they have their logos on the picture. So they took a little time to take the picture to the next level. And then you see it really does fill that whole screen. So therefore, it's not only going to fill the whole screen on mobile, it's also going to fill the newsfeed screen if viewed on a desktop or a laptop. So photos do really well in Facebook's algorithm. Not as well as native video does, but photos are by far the second most popular type of content. And then third is native links. And so what I mean by native links, this is posting a link into Facebook and allowing it to propagate to where the Facebook image profile comes up into play. So let me show you a couple of examples. Here's one from Texas State University. So what they did is they copy and pasted the link from the emergency info portion of Texas State's website. And then that will propagate within Facebook to where that image pops out. So Facebook searches for anything on the open graph within the website in order to pull images that it has. You will have chances, and I have a video on this that you'll watch in the associated materials, but you might have multiple pictures to choose from to do that. So there are opportunities for you to pick, or now you can even upload the image you want associated with that. But again, it's all about filling the screen. So you want a large enough picture to where Facebook recognizes that you can use that. And you'll notice the link is no longer in the content up there. The sign up for emergency alerts, find out more at the link below. They don't have the link, then copy and paste it after that. The link is already part of this post via the native link aspect of it. Here's an example of one that I screwed up on with a client of mine. You can see this is what it looks like when the picture isn't big enough. So I copy and pasted the link and it still worked properly, but the image was too small. So you do have options to go in and change the image that is associated with that. And again, that video will be on the associated materials that you can watch after this module. And then also as part of native links, we still have a ton of clickbait. So unfortunately, a lot of journalists are still using clickbait. Radio stations have kind of cornered the market on clickbait in terms of really spammy type posts. So if you always see radio station posts in your newsfeed, there's a reason why. It's because your friends or possibly even you are using or are clicking on those posts or commenting on those posts quite a bit. So when I talk about clickbait, what I mean is, you'll never believe which stars got into a fight. Click here to find out what they were fighting over. Or when they just flat out ask you to do something, so please share this, or please like this, or please comment on this. That's the equivalent of Facebook clickbait. And again, we see this plenty in journalism. We see it a lot in branding from businesses and brands. So typically you want to avoid this. Facebook has said that it will begin to start punishing types of clickbait, but we really haven't seen that happen yet. So still hoping that becomes mixed up or intertwined in the algorithm. But so far it hasn't happened a ton. There are times where asking a question, though, is still a pretty decent way of getting interaction. So there's nothing against asking a question. You just don't want it on every single post, obviously. So here's another example of a radio station that has produced a lot of content that really shot off in terms of engagement. So again, asking questions isn't necessarily a bad thing, but demanding that users share or like your content, Facebook will frown upon. So I mentioned there are two new ways to post content to Facebook. The first one I want to talk about is Facebook Live, which just in the past week or two, Facebook has opened it up to everyone. Originally, this was only for celebrities or those with verified accounts, but now anyone can broadcast live via Facebook Live. And you might have seen a lot of talk about watermelons here recently on Facebook or on social. And the reason why is because Facebook or BuzzFeed did the first kind of viral Facebook Live broadcast a couple of weeks ago or last week. What they did was they one by one put rubber bands on a watermelon to figure out how many rubber bands it would take to make that watermelon explode. Again, not the most highbrow of content, I will fully tell you that, but BuzzFeed knows what goes viral. Here's a very quick GIF of how long it took. It actually took quite a while, like almost an hour. And I don't remember the exact number. I think it was like 560 something. But the watermelon did eventually explode in terms of putting those rubber bands on it. And when I talk about Facebook Live, it's also been used in more journalistic ways. So just last week, Kobe Bryant played his last game. Several sports agencies and even newsrooms use Facebook Live in order to go live and talk about Kobe's last game. So ESPN in particular had journalists Facebook living, that's probably not the term, but going on with Facebook Live to talk about it, interacting directly with people, because that's one of the great things you can do with it. You can see the comments as they're coming in, so you can do live Q&As, things like that. So there are a lot of journalistic uses for this as well. And then number 5 is huge for not just newsrooms, but also brands, because it's a two-way relationship. Facebook just opened up branded content. So this has been a source of contention for a lot of newsrooms in particular, where they wanted to do branded content with businesses, but Facebook didn't allow it. So BuzzFeed in particular kind of skirted the rules and was doing it all along. But Facebook is now allowing it. So here's what I mean by branded content. So this was the release in the past week or so, that you can now have the celebrity name with the brand name in the post. So you can see this was a Lady Gaga post that Intel sponsored. So the good news is this is a way for newsrooms to make money off of their Facebook content or off their social content, which has been a long source of contention. But it also is a way for brands or businesses to get involved with newsrooms or celebrities in order to be part of something going viral or a really popular post in terms of doing that. So it's a win-win for both situations. So Facebook is walking. And so far this is only for verified accounts right now. So celebrities, newsrooms, brands, they can all take part in this. Regular people obviously can't do this, but anyone with the blue check mark on Facebook can take part in this. Facebook walks you through the tool and how to use it. There are step-by-step instructions, and then here's that actual post where Lady Gaga, for instance, did a branded piece of content with Intel in terms of her Grammy performance about a month and a half ago. So that's brand new and really exciting in terms of potentially making money from a journalist point of view, but also from the brands being able to be partners with content creators like BuzzFeed or celebrities or newsrooms even. So it opens up a whole world of opportunities for both sides. So some final thoughts when it comes to Facebook content. Remember, we're thinking micro here, so less is more. You don't want super long posts. You also don't want a ton of posts, right? I mean, it depends on where you are. My typical advice for brands is 1 to 2 posts a day. For journalists, that obviously changes depending on the news. You would have more, but this isn't something you should be spamming the feed because that's not going to help you with the algorithm. If you're going to use pictures, have quality pictures, make sure the link is used natively, it's done in the right way. Always, always, always think mobile in terms of the content you're sharing. Feel free to experiment with live. I mean, that's a great way to live broadcast. It's Facebook taking on the Periscopes of the world. And what's really great about the Facebook Live is if you follow a brand or you follow a journalist or you follow a celebrity that then goes live, you get a notification that that person or that brand or that newsroom is now live. So the numbers with Facebook Live have been really strong so far, and that's only going to continue to get stronger as we continue to move on. And then for those users that have verified accounts, there are now opportunities to make money through social accounts with Facebook. This is something we've been waiting for, and it's finally here. So that's very exciting in terms of being able to post native content on social and being able to justify it with money-making ventures. Okay, so let's take a look at Facebook Insights for just a second, which is the analytics portion of Facebook. And again, I have a whole video walking you through the insights, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but there are a couple things that I want to point out. One thing to really share with your students is that Facebook, for the most part, has some really good analytics. So of all the social networks, Facebook is actually tops in terms of the amount of data it provides to you. It actually provides a ton of data to you. So from a brand or a business point of view, this is fantastic. From a journalist point of view, also fantastic. So it's really up to you to not only look at the analytics, but then also judge what those analytics are telling you. So it's not just the numbers that you should be looking at, but also the strategy and the mindset behind those numbers of, the times of day that you're posting, the types of content that you're posting. Did one type of post get shared more than the other? Did one get more likes than the other? These are all things that you can look at through Facebook analytics or insights. Therefore, it's the data that should drive what type of content you're posting and when you're posting it and why you're posting it. So that's really important for students to understand as they begin, potentially working with a client that, yeah, the analytics are great, but you have to understand what's in the analytics and why they're important in order to move on with that. So let's start first with the basic look at analytics. And again, you'll see this in a video that'll be in the associated materials. But the first screen that you're going to see is an overview, which is really just the past week. So you get things like how many likes you have this week, how many new likes you have, your post reach, and the types of engagement you have. And then it'll show you your posts from the past week. And you can see all types of what type of content. So you can see here that all 5 of those posts were actually images. You can see the reach, you can see the types of engagement, and then of course Facebook always makes it very easy for you to go in and promote a post to spend money on Facebook. So this is the type of screen you'll see from the default Insights screen. You can then dive deeper into Insights and go look at either the past week, which you've already seen, or a month, or the past quarter. So Facebook provides a ton of graphs in terms of looking at your net likes, your post reach, the times that people are online who use your site. You can divide it down by organic or paid. Facebook really does a good job in terms of the amount of insights that it provides to you. So some of the insights of importance that I stress to students, yes, is the number of likes that you have in the past month and the percent difference. The total reach in the past month, that's the number of eyeballs that actually saw your content. So I talked to them about why that's important. The average post reach, so how many eyeballs per post are you getting? And then the engagement in the past month, so I look at likes, comments, and shares on those posts. Facebook will tell you which type of post is performing best. So is it video? Is it pictures? Is it links? Is it Facebook Live? And then Facebook, again, also tells you when your fans are online. So if you're posting at 7 in the morning, but the majority of your fans are online at 9 o'clock at night, that should dictate that you might want to change your posting patterns in terms of getting the most eyeballs on your work. So that's it for this week's module. I will have several shorter videos that I play for my students in the associated materials links. Those are really short. They're like 1 to 4 minutes each. So go ahead and watch those. And then I also will have a quiz available if you want to take that. It shows you the types of questions that we would be asking students to make sure they know this material well. And then don't forget, also take part in the discussion on our Facebook group. So hope this all made sense. If you have any questions at all about Facebook or the algorithm or the types of content, please feel free to come contact me. You can reach me in the Facebook group. You can come see me in my office. You can email me. I'm here to help you as much as I possibly can. So we'll see you on the Facebook group.